Well, the least I can do is try again to make the certificates visible. I do my best, and then I see that only the top is showing. This is Albert, the first baby's birth certificate. Now, it looks to me as if it's showing. And then when I play it back, it's not. This is his death certificate. Crazy. You'd think somewhere or another that would be showing. I don't know. And finally the birth certificate of the baby the following year. In Newbury. Again, it looks to me as if it's showing. Until I play it back. Now my train of thought has been lost again because I think the last video was too long. Neither parent registered the birth of Robert Edward, the second baby. That again was the hospital occupier, and funnily enough, once again, it was the 2nd of September. I do notice dates. I mean, World War II ended on the 2nd of September 45, didn't it? The death of Albert was registered on the 2nd of September 1946, and the birth of Robert Edward was registered on the 2nd of September 1947. More coincidences. Now this is going to seem incredibly nebulous, but I can't video all the evidence I have in quite the same way that I can write about it. The composite Desmond Oakley, part 2, in his original identity, had a father who was called Albert Edward. Now, I'm sure all of those names were incredibly common and popular at that time. Just the same, Amelia's first baby was called Albert and her second was called Robert Edward. In other words, and my father had a grandfather called Robert. It did seem to me as if those names might be given to the sons of a man called Desmond Oakley. Well, perhaps, the Greenford Desmond Oakley, if he ever existed, got about a bit, Perhaps I'm being crazy with these names. Or perhaps the father of those babies was in fact a man called Desmond Oakley, which would kind of add weight to my belief that Amelia Noyes was in fact Rosemary Noyes giving birth. And then, well, the first thing I have to ask, and after all that is documented, is why she was taken 40 miles to give birth to the second child from the unmarried mother's home where she was living. Then I have to ask who took her. I don't suppose she drove in labour. Why did she not want to give birth in the same hospital she'd given birth in the year before? The baby's cause of death was given as gastroenteritis. There don't appear to have been any suspicious circumstances Why go all the way to Newbury? And I have to assume that the Sisters of Mercy in Windsor were a lot more lax than the nuns in the Magdalene laundries, because I wouldn't have thought she would be allowed to leave and drive 40 miles to give birth again. Now, then I wonder, of course, what on earth happened to Robert Edward? Well, I believe one of two things there. I do hope my brother doesn't watch this. The first is that Robert Edward, born on the 16th of July, was then transported from Newbury to Harrogate and re-registered as Michael Oakley. That's the first possibility. The second is that there were twins, and that Robert Edward got left behind. Robert Edward, born on the 16th, and Michael, born on the 17th, was taken to Harrogate and registered. That would still leave the question of what became of Robert Edward, and I do have some theories about that, if that was what occurred. And my brother is the father of twins, and wanted to know if they run in the family. I believe the answer to that is yes. My train of thought was going so well, and I got to 16 minutes and thought, oh heck, I think YouTube only allows 15 minutes unless I jump through hoops. That is, I believe, one of those two. That Robert Edward became Michael. He won't tell me what's on his birth certificate, but I already know. I haven't got another copy, but I know that my father registered my birth and my mother registered Michael's. I also know that my father did not approve of Michael's names, because he used to say, he told me so. And I also, as somebody who knew little about Christianity, discovered that Michael was the archangel who fought with the devil. It struck me as being a name my mother might well have chosen if she had discovered by that time exactly what kind of man she was tangled up with. I also have theories about the third name tied him very, very definitely to my father. A third of his four names. Three. I can't call them Christian names because neither Michael nor I were ever christened. Michael has three names, and the middle one also struck me as one that my mother might have chosen as a rather legendary fighter. She had a cousin in Canada with the same names. And I said, oh, is that why Michael had those names? And she said, no. So, okay, there's my theory. That either Michael was born Robert Edward and was transported first from Windsor, well, when my mother was in labour, from Windsor to Newbury and then from Newbury to Harrogate, or he was one of twins and he was the one who got kept. 16th and 17th July.